in the healthcare industry for the majority of his career. Vicki, a graduate of Mary Washington College, taught biology in the local school system until Aaron was born. She has a very outgoing personality and enjoys the company of senior adults. Aaron is employed in housekeeping and dining at Hidden Springs Senior Living. He enjoys one-on-one relationships with many of the residents. Daryl, Vicki, and Aaron are members of the Page United Methodist Church in Luray. Some of their hobbies include farming, gardening, reading, and taking family walks with their yellow lab, Maisie. Very happy to have you guys with us this morning.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and I can email you my presentation. I wish I could see you all and show it to you now, but technological difficulties on my end. But before I get started, I do want to thank all of you for the greeting cards that you have made and given to the residents of Hidden Springs Senior Living. This is a generation of letter writing and card exchange, and when they get mail, whether it's from a loved one or a friend, it really does bring a smile. And so thank you from the bottom of my heart. So am I on now?
Yes.
Okay. Well, Hidden Springs Senior Living, for those of you that don't know what it is a retirement community. We're located just a few minutes outside of Front Royal, south of Front Royal, and we are able to boast that we can see both the Blue Ridge and the Massanutten Mountains from all of our windows. And we offer 3 levels of care. We have assisted living, we have advanced assisted living, and that's for people who have become non-ambulatory. Maybe they need more assistance with wheelchair or bedridden. And then we have a secure memory care. And as Debbie mentioned earlier, my husband Daryl and son Aaron, along with me, do own and operate Hidden Springs Senior Living and have for the last 13 years when we started. We live on the family farm right next door. But Debbie asked me to speak on the assisted living community during a pandemic. And wow, it has been a year of many firsts. And we're still learning. Every day, every month, it seems like something changes. But all of this began 14 months to the day today, March 12th, 2020, as we all remember so well. We began by locking our doors. We told the residents and their families, no one will be able to leave or come in because we don't know what this virus is. It was new. It was called the novel virus. All elective health procedures were put on hold. And the only visitors we were inviting in was our in-house physician, Thomas Ball, MD of Front Royal Family Practice, and nurse practitioner, Catherine Winter. We did have Caring Angels Home Health for PT and OT. We certainly did not want our residents to not remain healthy. And of course, Blue Ridge Hospice was coming in, and our family members, if they had a loved one nearing the end of life. We did not want to separate that, separate those family members at such a critical time. All supplies, and this is still going on today, all supplies, deliveries, and packages must be dropped off at the front door. We sanitize everything. If a package is porous-like material, like clothing, we have to not only sanitize it, but the best way to sanitize is quarantine. And some things are quarantined for a few days, others for just overnight. It was a little challenging with birthday, and then later, of course, December 2020 with Christmas. It became a little bit of a learning experience, but we had families to bring in Christmas gifts as well as birthday gifts all year long early, like 3 or 4 days ahead. We sanitized, quarantine, and that way family members and their loved one could exchange or open those gifts together, whether it be virtually or in person. Every day, the residents are screened for COVID. And when I mean screened for COVID, we do not test every day, of course, but we do check their vitals up to 3 times a day. All staff are not allowed in, and that's still going on today. Staff are not allowed into the building without being screened for COVID with a temperature check, and if they have any symptoms. And as someone mentioned earlier, as they were logging on, this is the allergy season again. We're going through another one of those. So that's been a challenge. You know, someone has a runny nose because of allergies, but is that COVID? So it has been some kind of an experience, I'll have to admit. All of our residents are wearing face masks when they're not socially distanced. And we have been blessed with many, many donations of handmade cloth face masks. All of our medical team wear face masks and gloves on their shift. All throughout the pandemic, we have accepted admissions safely. Of course, for the majority of this time, we were unvaccinated. So the residents that were being admitted or joining our family had to get 2 negative COVID test results before moving in. And then upon admission, a resident was quarantined and retested for the 3rd time to make sure that there was no risk of COVID being brought in. Now we're all fully vaccinated, so most seniors are. They've been fortunate to get a vaccine in the community if they're moving in. And so they just show the proof of vaccine with their card and get 1 negative COVID result before moving in. One of the challenges Daryl and I had early on last March and April, as time wore on, and now we're into spring and summer, and the staff, as no surprise, were growing weary. They were tired because there was a huge responsibility. When I go home, am I going to bring this virus back to a very vulnerable population? So Daryl and I put our heads together, and how can we help the staff? So we started from the get-go almost of helping them not to have to go out into public places to get meals. Many of them rely on fast food restaurants. You know, they love their pizza and wings and all of that good stuff, as I do as well. And so our dining staff stepped in and said, we can provide all of those food items that they love, wings, pizza, all of that. So we did that. All the staff ate their meals at Hidden Springs while they were working. If they worked a double shift, they got 2-3 meals, whatever it was. Then we really got creative because by summer, they were asking for vacations. And as we all know, the beach communities, and I won't name them, but the beach communities had high numbers. The positivity rate was soaring in those communities, understandably, because it's crowded. So we bought a travel trailer. Daryl's farm is on the Shenandoah River. And we bought a travel trailer and placed it on the river and said, hey, take a week, take a few days, whatever you want, stay there with your family. You won't be bothered. And that way you can get some rest and you're staying out of public places. And they loved it. They had the best time ever. They're already begging, are you going to take it back? And we said, yes, next week. So we just tried to do the best we could to keep them safe, to keep us safe. One thing that was a challenge throughout the pandemic and still is being socially engaged, but not socially isolated. And early on, virtual was the catchphrase. Everybody's talking virtual, and we were no different. So we did Skype, FaceTime, Zoom, telephone, all means of communicating between residents and their families. For the window visits that you saw so popularized on the news, hearing impaired people, that's challenging. That's not even good. So we got Amazon Echo Dots and placed them around the buildings so that families and residents could visit at the window better. Another thing we did was, because of social distancing, CDC said no dining in a communal setting. So we did takeout dining for our residential assisted living, but advanced care and memory care, that's not possible. They don't understand, they need assistance. So our community is large enough that we were able to do communal dining and have the entire 14 months, but practicing social distancing. Our activities department really stepped up to the plate. They were able to take care of our hair and nail needs. So the residents felt like they were going to a spa, and they loved it. But we have resumed now. Our nail technician and hairstylist have come back. Doing activities was fun throughout this whole pandemic. You get used to doing things differently with social distancing. So bingo could be done in a large setting with everyone separated. We did a lot of reminiscing, which is fun, and they have a lot of stories to tell, and we've learned more about each other in the last 14 months, and that's great. We took long walks outside. Being on 20 acres gives us the freedoms of being outside and not crowded. We did a lot of lawn and parlor games. We even had a concert on the lawn. And for those of you that follow us on Facebook, you may have seen it. We even had Gracie the Mule. Steve Foster and Gracie came out, and we did that outside. We love to garden, and we do a farm to table anyway. So we did some gardening, a lot of porch sitting, bird watching, and in the last, I'll say 8 or 9 months, we've been taking scenic drives. Yesterday, they took a scenic drive and they went by the new hospital, which was exciting. They said they were glad to see it on the outside and not the inside, which is always kind of a good way to look at that. Visits, as I mentioned earlier, everything was virtual, but that got old real fast, and families wanted to see their loved ones, and we didn't want to keep them separated. So as the weather warmed up last spring, we were able to do visits outside safely. We had set up tables. We put out hand sanitizer. All of our residents wore their masks. We asked family members, please don't come unless you can wear a face mask, and they all complied. The weather turned cool, of course, in September and October, and our folks can't take cold weather. So we set up an area inside just for visitation, and we even exchanged open birthday gifts and everything from that designated area. We can only allow a certain number of people. You know, Dr. Ball, I don't know if you realize that, he serves on the COVID committee with Lord Fairfax Health District. So he has an inside track as to what's safe and what's unsafe. And he has kept us in the loop and guided us every step of the way during these 14 months. So he has advised us to be cautious of how many people you allow into your building. That way it's easier to contact trace if you need to. Don't exchange items during your visit. Make sure those are, sanitized and brought to the residents later. So we've done things as well as we could, and we've been blessed to say, as of today, we have not had COVID at all. We've only had 5 asymptomatic staff people and no residents. I don't even think we had the common cold last winter. We were very, very fortunate and very blessed. We have been fully vaccinated now, thanks to CVS. They provided us with 3 dates, January 14th, February 4th, and a makeup date later on in February. We all got the Pfizer vaccine, the 2-part vaccine. And as I mentioned, 100% of the residents are vaccinated. And I think considering the age of most of my staff, 78% are vaccinated. There's a lot of, people that think still the vaccine is unsafe. Daryl and I do everything we can to educate the young folks of the safety of the vaccine, but we still don't have 100% vaccinated. The residents received their vaccines right in the comfort of their apartment. So that was nice that they didn't have to go out and face a long line and wait somewhere. So how has life changed at Hidden Springs Senior Living post-vaccination? We have been able to return to communal dining in our residential assisted living, and that's been so well received. It's so nice to hear the laughter again in the dining room. For the residents' activities, they have been changed. Now we have spiritual visitors and small singing groups coming in to entertain and practice social distancing while they're there, but they're still coming. Families are visiting and friends are visiting in residents' apartments now. The visits are still scheduled. They still have to be COVID screened, wear a face mask. But like Kathy mentioned earlier, how nice it was to hug her parents. Our families and residents are hugging again. And there was a lot of tears flowing on those first few hugs, I can tell you. It's a long time to go without a hug from a loved one. Humans are social by nature. So not to hug, not to touch, it's just very difficult. But we've tried to shower these people with as much love as we can. We've kept them engaged in activities. We've kept the news minimally in the building, not to scare them and to worry them needlessly. They live with us because they need us and they need protection and they need sheltering. So we don't talk a lot about the virus. We just talk about, hey, we're helping each other. Any questions that you might have for me?
Vicki, this is Melanie. You may have mentioned it, and if so, I apologize I didn't catch it.
Oh, no, that's okay.
How many residents do you have?
We have a capacity for 71 and we are at 69.
Thank you. Other questions for Vicki? Herb, yes, sir. You're muted, Herb, sorry.
Hello?
There we go. How's that? Better?
Better.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to tell you, I think you've done a remarkable job of protecting your team members and your residents and been very, very cognizant of their needs and their socialization that they need. My hat is off to you for such a remarkable job you've done.
Oh, thank you. Well, I can't take all the credit. Daryl and I feel like the Lord has blessed us. I don't know where you all are in your group spiritually, but there was a picture taken and it's on Facebook. It was put on Facebook on our Hidden Springs Senior Living page shortly after the pandemic began last March. There was a thunderstorm, and at the end of the thunderstorm was a rainbow, and Daryl's nephew lives about a mile away and is at the same elevation as Hidden Springs. So he photographed the rainbow. And when you looked at the rainbow and you looked at our community, when you enlarged it, we were covered and bathed in the light of the rainbow. And to me, that was a sign. It was a sign that God was going to shield us and protect us. And we didn't know that particular instant that it was going to go on for a year or more. It was only like 2 or 3 weeks into it, but we felt like we were really sheltered and protected by God's love after that.
Great.
Deanna, I see your hand.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you on how hard you've tried to accommodate and be creative in all this. I'm a public health person, just FYI.
Okay.
And I think your experience is so important to relate. And I wonder, based on your experience and perspective, what you think would help improve staff uptake of COVID vaccine, because the chances of older people with repressed immune systems not being as immune as a younger person who's vaccinated are high. And we are running into this everywhere. You have a little higher uptake than usual among your staff. And, that's a credit to you. But 100% is necessary for your younger employees to really, or anyone's younger employees to really protect folks. So based on your experience, what do you think would help with that?
Wow, that is a good question. And I wish I had a good answer. I think it helped. I mean, Daryl and I really championed back in the fall, late fall, when we learned that CVS was going to be able to provide the vaccine for our community and other assisted livings across our area. And we went out and just told all of our staff, this is our only hope and chance of returning to normalcy, or we're going to be wearing these masks forever. And just to digress a little bit from that question, seniors in particular are challenged with us wearing masks. They're hearing impaired. Some of them have dementia. And so if you look at someone's face, it's hard to tell what they're saying with just their eyes. And if you read lips, you can't read lips anymore. So these masks have really been a hindrance to our residents. But getting back to your question, so the young staff members, and I'm talking about the 20-year-olds that did get the vaccine, that did know that this was their only way of protecting the people they really love, were our spokespeople. And they really went out and talked to their teammates. Because listening to me is like a parent trying to tell a child something, but then another child telling a child something. And they'll do it if another kid says it, but if mom or dad say it, invariably they're not. So that's kind of where we are today with any of our new staff that are hired. I just get the young staff people that they're working alongside, shoulder to shoulder, and say, hey, let them see that you're fine, you're okay, you're not changed in any way, and let them know that it's okay to do this, it's safe. And I think that's helped. I think that was the only way we were going to get some of the young people who are listening to Facebook as their medical resource to get this shot.
Thank you.
Saw early on that, Daryl and I made a point to let them know the arm is not sore. We're not sick. We're not, having any side effects. And it's really important for you to do this.
Hey, Vicki, this is Michael.
Yes.
Hey, great presentation. Thank you. Just a question and maybe a follow-up depending on your answer. When you all do meals in your dining hall, how many people do you have in that dining hall at one time?
Good question. So our dining hall was built to, we have 3 dining halls. We have 3 communities. We have 3 dining halls. The advanced care and memory care that I mentioned early on never ever stopped having meals in their community dining room. It's huge. It is much larger than the number of people who live there. Our advanced care only has 18 residents, and our memory care has 17 residents. So they were able to eat 2 at a table with 6 feet between them, and the tables were separated by 6 or more feet, and that was great. Now our original building, which is our residential assisted living, is built to serve all of the 40 people, and I say 36, I should say 36 residents, and then Daryl, Aaron, and I at another table if we eat with them. But that wasn't possible because of social distancing. So we got creative and took some other spaces that are nearby, like a private dining room, like your dining room in your home, even a media room and activities room. We took other spaces and made them multi-purpose spaces. So now all of our tables are separated by more than 6 feet with 2 at a table, and they're eating in different rooms, but the rooms are visible from each other and they can see one another. So they're still able to dine as a community, but with social distancing in mind.
The room that I'm familiar with is when you first walk in and there's the reception, and then right behind it, you have that eating facility, that dining facility. there.
Right.
So I can grasp square footage and number of people eating. How many people total are eating at one time in that area behind reception?
Probably, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, about 16 to 18 are eating in there. And then beyond that space, Michael, that you're familiar with, is our addition that we added on 3 years ago for our memory care and assisted living, advanced assisted living. And that's where the media room and activities room and the private dining room are located. And so we just opened up the French doors that separate those areas from the main dining room. And now we're eating in different areas, but we're eating at the same time. I don't have it in shifts.
Gotcha. Okay, and finally, please give Aaron a big hug for me and tell him I said go Steelers.
Okay, I shall do that. Go Steelers. Oh, he's rooting for the Pirates now. We're in baseball.
Debbie, yes, ma'am.
Vicki, a lot of what you said is something that's transferable to all of the assisted living facilities in the safety that protocols. But you have a lot of unique things that you were able to do at Hidden Springs because of the location where you are and because of the extra care that you and Daryl and Aaron have taken. I know when we delivered some of the Mother's Day cards this time, we were not able to get into a facility. And for example, Lynn Care at that particular time was on lockdown again. And so the cards really meant an extra amount to those people. You had mentioned something about one of the questions about how could you get your younger people to consider the vaccine? Something you might want to consider is inviting to be a speaker for your younger people sometime, a young person who has gone through COVID and had a difficult time. For example, Blake Pierpoint, we all know she had on Facebook that she had it and she was pretty sick with it. So that might let them know that it's not always a mild case.
Good point. And I certainly will take that to heart. I did not, and I am glad and thankful. I don't know her personally, but I'm thankful that she is recovered and she's not a statistic out there.
Normally I would not tell it, but since she publicly put it on Facebook, once something's on there, it's fair game.
Right, exactly. No, that's a good point. And I know some of our staff support her business. And so I might reach out to her and see if she'd be willing to do a Zoom meeting like this and chat with our staff at one of our meetings, one of our staff meetings. Any other questions for me?
Vicki, thank you again so much for taking the time to speak with us this morning and for all that you're doing.
Well, thank you all.
I don't know if you're aware or not, but we do not give our speakers a gift themselves. What we do instead is we donate a book to a local preschool in your honor. So
wonderful.
Barbara has gone to get it so we can have a visual, but I will tell you that the book is The Watermelon Seed, and it's written and illustrated by Greg Pizzoli, and it will be presented to the Gear Preschool. And Barbara's showing it on her screen, so you can see the book. Like the watermelons.
Well, that is wonderful. Thank you so much. And no gift is necessary, but I'm so glad you're doing something like that. That is wonderful. Children will always be near and dear to my heart. I love my seniors, but I certainly enjoyed my time teaching school so many years ago. So I love children as well.
That's great. And thank you again.
Thank you. And you all have a great day. Thank you again for the invitation and all the cards that you have given us.
Our pleasure. Glad we were able to do this.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, Vicki.
Thanks, Vicki.
Bye, Daryl.
Bye.